And, in other news, water's wet, sky is blue, death and taxes and yada yada yada. The first round of the 2018 NFL Draft has officially been put to bed, and 4 Alabama players and 10 total from the SEC were selected amongst the first 32 picks. Those totals represent the most for an individual school in a conference yet again. For perspective, that conference last year had a record-tying 12 players taken in the first round. Alabama, with 2, was tied with Clemson and Ohio State for most for an individual school. This year, there were 6 other schools with more than 1 player selected. College football playoff championship game runner-up Georgia with 3, while Louisville, Notre Dame, Ohio State, UCLA and Virginia Tech were next with 2 each. The Tech picks, incidentally, were linebacker Tremaine Edmunds number 16, Buffalo Bills, and safety Terrell Edmunds number 28, Pittsburgh Steelers. Those 2 are brothers, making them the first siblings ever selected in the first round of the same NFL draft. Aside from the SEC, the Power 5 conferences went, in order of the number of selections, the ACC 6, Big Ten 4, Pac-12 4 and Big 12 1. That number for the Big 12, incidentally, is 2 fewer than the Mountain West 3 and the same as the 1 each from the AAC and Conference USA. Over the last 6 NFL drafts in the first round, the Power 5 conference selections look like this: SEC, 60 ACC, 36 Pac-12, 33 Big Ten, 25 Big 12, 12. It took a little while longer than what some of the early mock drafts had projected, but Alabama has finally joined some rarefied player selection meeting air. With the 11th overall pick of the 2018 NFL, the Miami Dolphins selected Alabama defensive back, Swiss Army knife Minkah Fitzpatrick. With that selection, the Crimson Tide has now seen a player taken in the first round of the draft each of the last 10 years, joining the Miami Hurricanes as the only program that can make that claim. The All-American Fitzpatrick was the second player from the SEC taken thus far, joining Georgia linebacker Roquan Smith, who was taken 8th overall by the Chicago Bears. And, just as we were getting ready to post this, one of the Fitzpatrick's teammates, Darren Payne, was taken by the Washington Redskins with the 13th overall pick. You can add yet another notch to Baker Mayfield's burgeoning list of accomplishments. In the weeks leading up to the 2018 NFL Draft, most mock drafts had either USC quarterback Sam Darnold or Wyoming quarterback Josh Allen going number 1 overall to the Cleveland Browns. In the last 24 hours, however, there was a growing buzz surrounding the Oklahoma Signal caller for the top spot. Thursday night, at a little after 8 p.m. Eastern Time at Stadium, that buzz turned into a reality as the Browns made Mayfield the first pick of this year's draft. And, not only did he become the 4th ever Sooner to be taken number 1 overall, he becomes the only player who began his collegiate career as a walk-on to be selected first in the draft. 1 hour until the NFL Draft starts on ESPN. Baker Mayfield could be the first former walk-on to be selected with a number 1 overall pick in the NFL's Common Draft era since 1967. Pick.twitter.com/i6vmk9gnh said, ESPN StatsInfo at ESPStatsInfo April 26, 2018. Famously, Mayfield walked not once but twice in his collegiate playing career, first at Texas Tech and then again at Oklahoma after he decided to transfer from the Red Raiders. Mayfield, a 3-star 2013 recruit who was rated as the number 42 pro-style quarterback in the country, actually held offers from Lane Kiffin, Florida Atlantic, New Mexico and Rice before opting to become a walk-on in Lubbock. While with the Red Raiders, Mayfield became, it's believed, the first ever to start a opener as a true freshman walk-on. After transferring to the Sooners and sitting out the 2014, the Austin, Texas, native became one of the most prolific quarterbacks in college football history. He helped lead the Sooners to college football playoffs 2 of the last 3 and put together back-to-back years in 2016 and 2017 that were the best, passer rating-wise, in the history of the game. He capped off that prodigious statistical run by winning the 2017 Heisman Trophy in one of the biggest landslides in the award's history. The Michigan Wolverines may have their new starting quarterback, Shea Patterson. After a drawn-out battle for eligibility, this will be eligible to play for the Wolverines this fall. According to a report from the Detroit News, Patterson has been granted a transfer waiver from the NCAA after the NCAA, Michigan and Ole Miss came to terms on an agreement to allow for Patterson to become eligible. From the Detroit News report, an agreement has been reached among the NCAA, Michigan and Ole Miss, according to the source, and with a completion of some paperwork, Patterson will be eligible to play this fall. The source requested anonymity because an official announcement has not been made, but that announcement is expected soon. A Michigan official said Thursday night the athletic department has no new information on a final decision from the NCAA. Ole Miss had been holding up the transfer process for Patterson because the school did not accept Patterson's reason for wanting to transfer from the Rebels to Michigan. Frustrated with the process, Patterson ripped Ole Miss and former head coach Hugh Freeze. With Ole Miss blocking the transfer for Patterson, the former Ole Miss quarterback had been hanging in limbo with Michigan with no idea if he would be cleared to play this fall for the Wolverines or if he would have to sit out due to typical NCAA transfer rules. Because Ole Miss was placed on probation amid Patterson sought a transfer after feeling he had been misled and lied to by Freeze and Ole Miss. Now at Michigan, Patterson can immediately begin focusing on competing for the starting job at quarterback for Jim Harbaugh and Michigan. Given how much Michigan could stand to improve at the position, Patterson could give the Wolverines a much-needed boost this fall. A formal announcement on Patterson's status at Michigan is expected to be made once the legal paperwork is completed between the NCAA, Michigan, and Ole Miss. Follow at Kevin Ong FB. A year ago, Michigan State linebacker John Reschke was on the move out of East Lansing. However, perhaps time has healed enough wounds to see Reschke return to the Spartans. Michigan State head coach Mark D'Antonio is leaving the door open for that possibility, but Reschke's fate with the program may be left in the hands of his former teammates. Reschke never found another program to transfer to for the 2017 season and has since undergone ACL surgery. He would need to get a sixth year of eligibility from the NCAA to continue playing college football, but if he does, then D'Antonio says he may welcome Reschke back if his current players decide to welcome him back. "I've talked to our football team about it," D'Antonio said, according to MLive.com. "That's our football team's decision on that. 1. I think there's certain things that you go through relative to your football team so that decision will get made as we go forward. I think it's more important to talk to our players about that, if and when that happens." Football coaches allowing team members to determine the fate of a player that has fallen out of the good graces of the program is nothing new, and considering the circumstances surrounding Reschke's departure from the program, this seems like a logical decision. D'Antonio is allowing the players to determine whether or not they want to give someone who lost control a second chance rather than bring a guy who was perceived to be a bad egg back into the program without testing the waters within the locker room. Follow at Kevin Ong FB.